Hello viewers and welcome to another episode of Lancer Custom Works, where I will be discussing the various mech builds you could make and play with Lancer. In today's Encore edition episode where we pay attention to some of the older frames we have revealed before, Long Rim, Part 1, featuring the triple short kings, Atlas, Caliban, and Kobold. Let's start things off with Atlas. Atlas, the one that will carry your ass to hell. Atlas is what happens when SSC decided to dial that anime juice up to 11. This thing is a size half that can knock around frame twice as tall with no problem and can run around their ankles just fine even for hostile ones. Atlas just ignore engagement of just about any sorts, even arranged ones. This, combines with its base 6 speed makes it incredibly fast and mobile unlike anything else. And that was just the power of one of its traits out of 4, though only 3 is really useful. Jäger dodge lets you gain resistance to just about any character larger than you. Feel annoyed about assaults that hunker down like all the time. Well, it's time for the GM to be annoyed this time, and of course, it provides more movement because why not, and also, this means Fomorion is a bad idea for Atlas, not that it's a good idea for most size half builds anyway. And lastly, Atlas gets to do more damage to anyone that's prone to supplement the fact that it has no heavy mount for damage. That was yesterday's news I guess. And of course, Atlas core power is overdose on even more anime, because it just can. Needless to say, Atlas is ridiculous, because it kinda needs to. It's a size half frame that want to get in melee and it really need these traits to even survive. And as a reminder to those that decided to make their Atlas build with 20 evasion, put some hull or engineering on those thin bones because it really doesn't take much for anyone to find a way to break them. As for the talents, I would suggest Pankrati, though honestly, do you really need more mobility though? First rank also helps out against targets that's immobilized or slowed, and well, if you are knocking things prone, might as well do the rest. And Spaceborn, because if you want that bonus damage so badly, might as well make it harder for enemies to stand up. As for sources to knock enemy prone, there's a lot, like a lot. Royal Rifle is honestly a top tier option for this already as it gets you closer to enemy too, but there's always other ways to do things if you want to. Atlas license is frankly, stacked with incredibly good options, except Ricochet Blades. I think nobody really respects that systems, even before Demolitionist talent got released. Anyway, let's talk about the builds, starting with you are already under my Genjutsu, an interesting defender Atlas with the addition of House Guard, Field Analyst, Stasis Bolt, and Horo S2 to provide protection for allies independent from your health and sensor range. All these are set up so enemies will miss and let you knock them down with House Guard 3 and then you can stab them in their face. Very cheeky. What about second Jäger dodge? Is an Atlas that can deploy Aegis to cut down incoming damage even more, hence the name. Duelist talent in a way can also function this way, but you will be using Blade Master dice to ram down people more often anyway. Just get a spot you know your foes will need and stab anyone that gets too close to your spot. Vergil, this is a build that needs almost no explanation, other than Terashima. This build also has Superthermal blade, and you will want to use it with Nuclear Cavalier to cut and cook people apart. This build is fast with JK1 and 8 speed, plus ERM to keep you in a fight longer, and just to get more damage out. This build has Iconoclast to finish off any weakened enemies too with deterministic damage or just sheer aura. People will pay you to be inhumane, courtesy of Dustgrave, is a combat drill Atlas. You already want to knock people prone anyway, so it's really just a bonus. Multi-gear, Caltrop, Webjaw, plus of course, Royal Rifle, will be good option to keep your victims down. Then you simply just catch up to them and spin that drill up, with Gaijis to make things slightly easier. Hoshimi is a Tempest charged blade Atlas, unsurprising I know, but probably the one frame where it actually fits because it's just as ridiculous. Damage on the CBT is further increased with thermal charges with Autostab to make it crit more, plus double knuckles to knock enemies down with Spaceborn to increase that possibility, and lastly, as with all Atlas builds, it has enough mobility to catch up to any enemies to split them in half. Atlas carrying the Squadron, is a Legion Nexus Atlas, which sounds really stupid but there's actually a proper use case. As it turns out, you can move Legion drones even beyond your sensor range as it is not specific to require so on its description, and you can use these drones to kick people onto the ground and then use Hunter to get close and stab them into pieces. Surprisingly effective. When all you have is a kin opener, is not another super heavy Atlas, thankfully, but it's one with an Uncle manning a mortar to knock everyone around you down with Siege Spec 2. And then you slice them open with an OP Cal Chain Axe with triple accuracy from Duelist. Brutal, and of course, prone, an interesting way of opening up enemies' defense, in a more literal sense too. And lastly, there's the death that Deservioli, and map crossing fast Atlas with just about every possible mobility options to deliver pikes and buckshots whenever it goes. With SMN, this thing can brawl with anything, and with 6 heat cap, you will want to brace whenever you get tech attacked and run the hell out with your iframe aka reactive weave. Plus, if you want to, you can technically grapple taxi by using Pankrati charge to deliver someone halfway across the map. And that's Atlas, the insanely mobile bloodthirsty maniac that wields a sword twice its own size to cut up people 10 times bigger. It's a ridiculous frame that requires equally ridiculous strategy to play with. You really want to nibble the ankles of Giant because if you are out in the open, you will be paced very quickly. Next up, Caliban. It's not good to play with, it's evil to play with. So remember the part where I said all size half frames are really fragile, so you need to be careful even with Atlas too. Forget that part because Caliban is fucking stupid. Caliban also has 4 traits and 3 of it is about ramming shit. It doesn't need a defensive trait because it has 2 armor and 6 base health, making it only slightly less fragile than fucking Genghis. Caliban is a bowling ball, it can and will knock down anything bigger than its own size, not even a goddamn wall will stop it, and in fact, you will need to do this to move fast because Caliban only has 3 base speed and its core passive and power is a fucking shotgun, and because Caliban is a very special frame, it doesn't even need Dustgrave to give it permission to use a super heavy. Caliban can just do that. Talent suggestion, Vanguard, you pretty much need this honestly, unless for some reasons you are not building your Caliban for shotgun, Juggernaut, because if you gonna ram everything so much, might as well do it professionally. Ace, because you will probably use rapid maneuver jet for defense and mobility, so might as well fly further with it with sheer anger. And Walking Armory, which will be one of the few ways to enhance the power of the flare shotgun to make it even more hellish on your foes, plus Nuclear Cavalier for more damage to it, so if you like it, grab that. Anyway, let's get going with the builds, starting with, in the embrace of Mesmer's flame, is a Caliban with a supermassive Krakatoa to knock everything away, which is definitely how I felt when this divine twink kept destroying me so many god fucking time. Yes, this does put ordnance on the Krakatoa which can make it annoying to use, which is why Singularity Motivator is here to align for the targets by making them shoot at you with heavy gunner. If they decide to run, you set so many on fire anyway, if you are in a good spot. XCOM Blaster Launcher is a Stormbringer Caliban with Gandiva, as a reminder that all of Caliban traits work even with a long-ranged option, so simply get out of dodge with your decent mobility and just keep slamming people into walls with your impacts, and if running away doesn't work, you have a shotgun. Doomgamesh is a half Gilgamesh combined arm Caliban as its name implied, one with a supermassive Superthermal blade to keep things close to it, plus the cannibal if that fails. Spear charge is also a good way to add in damage or keep enemies from being able to move freely. Surprisingly, no emergency repair module, which would be really good for this Caliban here. Paladin is a Titanomachy Caliban with a supermassive Superthermal blade to smash and cut people with, that can also protect its allies with Argonaut Shield and Houseguard 1 to extend its radius, very fitting of its name, plus ERM to both keep itself and its allies alive should you need it, though murdering your foes probably works better. Rammstein is a Tempest charged blade Caliban, that sounds quite straightforward, but the real trick here is not the charged blade, but all the manner this Caliban can ram people into trouble, like TSS-1 to throw rock and siege ram people into them, or Prospector to dig hole and knock people down, or just siege ram people into more people, or into the multi-gear wires. This thing is a very mobile threat to your foe with Pankrati, Prospector, and MGMS, a hell on feet. Alpha Style 100 Samsara is another super heavy Caliban, this time with a supermassive hurricane cluster projector to use all the knockback to propel itself forward with murderous intent. A simple idea, just don't cook yourself alive. Chariot of Steel, the super heavy expansion. I will admit I chuckled at this one. It's just a simple siege cannon Caliban, nothing special about a frame wielding a cannon 10 times its size. Direct fire mode will let you more 4 spaces per hit for rapid maneuver, but you can also go long range and sit down besides an auto loader to bombard enemies to hell too, with plenty of grenades to keep you safe. And lastly, there's Inexorable Snail with a portal gun, a very funny long range Caliban in the most technical sense, by using real space breach to extend the range of your shotguns from 3 to 13 and knock back people this way, with some more blink charges to be more tactically flexible in some circumstances. Shooting someone this far away with Cannibal will never not be funny. A moving boulder that defy Newton law to propel itself forward, Caliban is really one of the more funny frames in Lancer that can find mobility in the strangest place possible, though mostly in the form of all the CQB weapons available in Lancer, of which there's just so many of. Caliban builds are really funny no matter how you build it, it can be unbelievably fast for something this slow. And last for this episode, Kobold, the only size half here that actually act like one. It can make covers, sometimes a lot of it, and then just stay alive hiding behind them like some kind of extra large infantry. It sounds simple, but Kobold ability to just make cover anywhere and then also turn invisible behind them give it incredible holding power on any ground if it decides to stay there, like an actual infantry. But really, the real meat on the bone for Kobold is its license. It can explode people physically by detonating terrain around them, or use some of the few tech systems that can actually damage people internally, or just do incredible bullshit with fusion rifle. That weapon is a monster when used right. All these combo with Kobold's traits real well, and can be used in most other frames just fine. As for talents, I would suggest for Kobold, Prospector would be a good idea to move between fortified position better. A Kobold should always have an escape strategy due to how close they have to work thanks to their sensor range. Infiltrator might be a good idea if you want to take advantage of your invisibility but not exactly necessary. Spaceborn, specifically Spaceborn 2, will be useful for Kobold in keeping your invisibility intact too. Anyway, let's take a look at the builds, starting with Couldn't Ya See the Bloody Bombs, a bomb-throwing Kobold because Mimic Carapace only breaks if you attack or take damage, and throwing explosives do not count as attack somehow, so you simply become an invisible bomb thrower with a lot of options to pick, plus Demolitionist to make them so much more lethal, and you always have the options to turn these grenades into mines should enemies get closer to. Van Helsing 5016, is a Half-Vlad Kobold that simply impale people onto the ground away from anyone and then flaw plus them to explode plus them, which with 2 charged stakes and impaler, will be very easy to do. It also has Prospector and Skirmisher to get out of dodge too. Battle of Blair Mountain, is a half-Blackbeard Kobold instead, with Pankrati and double reinforced cabling to move around and pull people down, and interestingly, a quirk of wording on the cablings might mean that you can pull off another 4 spaces worth of movement by splitting your movement, which will be very helpful when you combo your chain axe into grappling your foes and then flaw minus them to explode them. Invisible Sword that Cleaves Mountains, is a Tempest charged blade Kobold because of course, one that can run with hardpoint and RMJ to keep it alive or just infiltrate and surprise someone with a giant sword to the back, and then get the hell out with Prospector. La Petite Mort, is a Kobold with a grid square deleter. Simply attach yourself to a cover and become an extremely hard to dislodge artillery unit that can rain hell from so far away, with some explosives to knock things away when they get too close. Guerrilla Tactics, is a Kobold that loves throwing rocks, because that's all you can really do with retractable profile around, plus exploding them should your enemies don't immediately run away from them and ensuring nobody can hide from you with Lotus Projector, and you will want to make tunnel every turn with Prospector so your allies can pop out of any holes no matter where they are to make life hell for your foes. 2:1 Scale Plastic Rogel Dorn Miniature, is a Kobold that loves fortifying position, with bunker, Aegis, and so much drones to control a position, and with slag cannon around, it's only fair to explode any slag your enemy is hiding next to with Siege Spec 1-2, and once again, Prospector is here to let the Kobold appear in the most unlikely spot possible. And lastly, there's Scheming Chess Player, a support Kobold with Fabi, Field Analyst, Sysop, and double Ferris Lash to give your allies everything they want. The OP Cal Fusion Rifle is an extremely good weapon at mid-range, and if the enemies decide to take cover in front of you, explode them. Kobold can be a tough thing to kill, it can be hell to remove from a place, or make the enemy position hell instead and make them run out of it. The perfect frame for guerrilla fighter like the Ungratefuls, just make sure you are never out in the open. And that's about it for this round of Lancer Custom Works Encore. Once again, I would like to thank all of my viewers who have submitted their builds for this episode. Next up, we are going into Wallflower, featuring Kid, Inkiju, Genghis Mark 1, and Ranger variant Swallowtail. Anyway, that's all for now, and I will see you all next time. Hello there, if you like this video, please subscribe and click that notification bell button. If you want to see the videos early as well as further support my channel, you can join in my Patreon page, or buy me some Ko-fi, links in the description. Anyway, have a nice day.